Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Hello and welcome to this special series called Inspirational Brands Make in India. Through this series, we put the spotlight on various business verticals that are contributing significantly to the government's Make in India mission.
Founded by Dheeraj Lal Kotaria in 1998, Sahajanand Medical Technologies claims to be living up to its company's motto, Pledge to Save Millions. Based in Surat, SMT is one of the leading developers and manufacturers of minimally invasive coronary stent systems. The company claims to be setting benchmarks for high-quality products by successfully delivering breakthrough innovations in the Indian stent market, thereby becoming a major contributor to the healthcare industry.
SMT as a company, we have a philosophy to save millions of lives. That's what we want to do, make it affordable for the patient. SMT is aggressively growing in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities where it is very difficult to reach and provide affordable healthcare and affordable as well as high quality healthcare. So our focus being in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. Right now, we are one of the largest player, and we have become the second player in Indian market. We enjoy around 22% market share currently.
Having received a CE mark for its drug-eluting stents, SMT offers a broad portfolio of cardiac stents and is continuously innovating to develop new technologies to tackle the most challenging cardiac problems. SMT has gained a strong prominence in the global arena by its presence in more than 65 countries.
And now I'm in conversation with the Managing Director of Sahajanand Group, Mr. Bhargav Kotaria. Welcome to the show, Bhargav. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Lata.
Let's start from the beginning. Sahajanand Medical Technologies was founded by your father, Mr. Dheeraj Lal Kotaria, in 1998. Could you take us through the initial years of your company?
My father, he's a serial entrepreneur. He had established a successful technology venture even before Sahajanand Medical. And in 98, he was really looking to do something with the platform that he had, with the financial strength that he had. And being a philanthropist himself, he came across the problem of cardiovascular disease. So the company was really started with two purposes in mind. One was to make the life-saving devices more affordable. Back then, the cardiovascular devices I'm talking about are obviously drug-eluting stents.
Right.
At that point, were completely imported at a hefty price, and the economics didn't make any sense for an Indian population. Less than 1% of the population could have afforded it. So SMT was really started to address that, the big bottleneck, which was how do we make life-saving critical devices more affordable.
Talking about the origins of the company, how do you think the company has evolved since the time you joined in 2011?
From 98 till about late 2000s, the primary focus of the company was really on the product and on the manufacturing to make sure that we could, even while being present in India, were able to produce a stent that could stand the test of the world's toughest standards. When I came in and when the existing team that is there, took over the commercial operations, our focus has been now how do we take these products and how do we commercialize, both at the India level and at the international level. While we continue our focus on R&D, so as a percentage of revenue, we probably spend more onto R&D, continuing more than anyone else in the industry. But what my biggest role and function has been, how do we kind of scale the operations up? How do we make it commercially viable for the long run?
So would you say that joining the company was a natural choice, or was it a conscious effort on your behalf?
I don't know for me whether it was growing up in the Sahajanand family or whether even if that wasn't the case, I still would have come into the business world, into the corporate world. But it was a completely natural and obvious choice for me to come in.
What do you think are some of the biggest milestones your company has?
So when you're looking back, starting a stent company in India in '98, this was before Google, right? India back then had a lot different issues, and we were not thinking about or even close to doing something like this. And the fact that we took on the challenge, the fact that my father took on the challenge of saying that, you know what, we can produce a stent, and not just a stent, one of the world's best stents right here in India, I consider that to be the first and the biggest milestone. Because if it wasn't for that bold decision, we would not be where we are. Then, going forward from that, by 2001, we came out with the first bare metal stent. At that point, DSs were still coming around, drug-eluting stents. By 2004, we came out with our first drug-eluting stent, and that was the one with the biodegradable technology that I mentioned. And by 2006, we were the first company in the world to secure a CE mark. Again, giving us the stamp of world recognition of what we had produced, what we had designed right here in India.
As one of the leading developers and manufacturers of cardiac stent, how do you think the domestic market has evolved over these years?
As far as stents go, globally, again, there's about 5 million stents that get implanted, and out of that, in India, currently we're at about 500 to 600,000. So we're, roughly 10 to 12% of the global market. As far as the disease itself goes, unfortunately, it's on a rising trend, which is the bad news. So over the last 4 or 5 years, the ability of the healthcare industry to tackle this rising trend, the market, so to speak, has been growing at about 20% per year. And looking at the macro trends, both on the health side as well as the infrastructure side, on the healthcare side, this is likely to be the scenario for the foreseeable future as well.
Let's talk about your products. Could you tell us about the types of stents that you manufacture and their distinguishing features?
So at the top level, we have both the bare metal stent and the drug-eluting stent. The difference being the bare metal stent is just the metal, but it doesn't have any polymer or drug onto it. Whereas the drug-eluting stent naturally has both the polymer and the drug. As far as the stents at SMT go, so we're currently on our 4th generation stent. And the biggest marquee for us is still continuing with the biodegradable polymer that we introduced more than 15 years ago. The biodegradable polymer is really what has enabled the DES, the class of DES, to be as safe as they are today. And we really take pride in the fact that we were the first, and to this day we still have, while there are other competitors with the biodegradable polymer as well, the unique and the proprietary formulation that we have in our polymer really gives it the great clinical results or clinical strength that we have. The other feature that we have is the strut thickness. So that's basically how thick the stent is. The idea is that you want it to be thinner. The thinner, the better. To put it in layman terms, the thinner it is, the more easily your body can accept it, right? And when we're talking about thin, we're talking about microns. The third one is the design itself, the design of the stent. Where this comes in really important is today, with the kind of load that comes onto the cardiologist and the cath lab, the ability to deliver stents with a relative ease, and that too in more and more complicated lesions, more and more complicated scenarios and environments, is ever important. And the design is one of the crucial aspects that makes that possible. And then the fourth and the last one would be the size matrix. So the stents come in different sizes, both the diameters and the lengths. Again, it has to do with the disease itself. When you have disease, the cardiovascular plaque that forms up,
right,
it can be diffuse, it can be centered, it can be in different shapes and forms. So you need a size matrix that's as wide as possible to allow the cardiologist to make the best possible decision without making ever compromises.
All right. So as we all know that to promote India as a global manufacturing hub, the government launched the Make in India campaign. As a manufacturer, what do you think are the top 3 challenges in the cardiac stent market, and how did you overcome them?
First is the product. You are dealing with a highly precision engineering, right? Again, as I mentioned, you're working with microns, right? So whereas a hair is 100 micron, your strut thickness needs to be less than that, right? So just the ability to even understand the fundamentals behind that, the science behind that, how to make that possible, which material to use, how you're going to manufacture it, how you're going to set up the QA, QC, and the quality standards throughout your manufacturing. This is a tough task. Today, I can confidently say that we have one of the world's best stents. But that's today in 2018. and we have reached here after 20 years of journey, right? So this is the first bottleneck, right? So any company, whether it's SMT or any new player that wants to enter the space, getting the product right is a tough task. After that, the quality of culture. As a company, we have our QA/QC departments, and they will do their task and they will do their job day in and day out with every single batch. But the winning aspect is getting the manufacturing operator, the person that's actually cutting the stent, that's doing the crimping of the stent, himself to uphold those standards. Because that's when you really are talking about a quality culture. And getting to this, once you have the right product, getting this quality culture implemented throughout your organization, throughout the hundreds of people that you have. And then the third one is, as I mentioned, the clinical proof, right? Yes, you've done the product, you've implemented the quality culture. What is the empirical data? What is the data that you have to be able to go out and commercialize this? I think these are the three stages that, as Indian companies, for us it's tougher even because as an economy, as a developing economy in its early stages, right now our concern is more about, as you mentioned, about access and price and sales. So when an entrepreneur, someone like my father, starts out, it's difficult for them to take the long-term view.
And how close do you think are we to becoming a strong player in the global arena?
We're getting there, but we have a long way to go. There are a few Indian companies, but a few companies don't make India, right? It's going to require an entire industry of Indian companies. And any company that comes out of India has to function this way. Every company has to function this way.
All right. On that note, we'll take a short break, but don't go anywhere as the conversation with the Managing Director of Sahajanand Group continues on the other side. You're watching our special series, Inspirational Brands Make in India. Spread across an area of 60,000 square feet, SMT operates a world-class manufacturing facility and two R&D centers at the Special Economic Zone, Dabholi, Surat in Gujarat. The facility is equipped with manufacturing as well as testing laboratories to produce stent, balloon catheters and vascular accessories. The WHO GMP certified manufacturing plant consists of laser cutting, descaling, electropolishing and secondary packaging areas that subscribe to strict quality and procedural adherence. Approved by FDA and CE, the manufacturing facility employs more than 450 people and is used to manufacture more than 50 different products of SMT. With an aim to become a leader in cardiovascular medical devices industry, SMT has been conducting several clinical trials to support its products and their attributes.
As far as our products are concerned, it comprises of all the domains of engineering, science and technology. Be it you take for chemical engineering, we have the chemical engineering in terms of polishing, taking across the stain to the glittering finish. If you take the structures, it has the mechanical components. If you take the metallurgy, it has the materials. If you take the polymers, it is in terms of the expansion of the stents and coating out the stents. If you look at the pharma, it is available in terms of the drug what we are coating. So in the entire gamut of it, apart from all this, you look at that the way in which we manufacture, the thermal energy is coming into the picture, the amount of heat what we put across to cut the metal tube. So it is the whole bunch of stuff in making this small piece of the stent.
Welcome back. You're watching Inspirational Brands Make in India, a special series where we put the spotlight on various business verticals that are contributing significantly to the government's Make in India mission. And today, I have with me the Managing Director of Sahajanand Group, Mr. Bhargav Kotaria. Let's talk a bit about technology. We know that technology is changing the way businesses operate these days. As a manufacturer, how are you leveraging new age technologies to improve healthcare in the country?
Excellent question. So, at three different stages, in fact, I would say. One, where we start with the product itself, right? So the process of developing, doing the R&D on a new product, quite a bit of the technology that's coming in is assisting on faster development. The second is the manufacturing. as again, with the focus on accessibility, manufacturing and the efficiency in manufacturing becomes more and more important. So you have to look at automation. You have to look at robotics wherever applicable in the industry. And that's where, again, we are investing. And then the third one is the distribution. Again, in this industry, distribution is fairly complicated and it has challenges of its own. There too, we can apply smart algorithms and again machine learning to come up with better and more efficient distribution systems.
So as a technology-driven group with R&D and innovation at the core of your business, how are you continuously innovating to develop new products and technologies?
We've taken 20 years to get to the kind of product that we have, to get to the kind of sales and distribution strength that we have and the clinical data that we have. But what we're doing is now, this has become a platform for us, right? Now when you walk into a cath lab in India and you ask about SMT, it's a known brand. It's a brand that's associated with quality, with innovation, right? So now the rest of the processes, when I bring in new products, whether it's newer stents or different set of products, it's a lot easier, number one. Number two, with the kind of innovation and technologies that we're implementing in R&D and manufacturing and supply chain, we can, as I said, we can speed up we can speed up how quickly we're coming up with the next generation of products. With these two, with this as our platform, we're diversifying. Till now, our focus has been one product. Now, we're diversifying into becoming a holistic vascular devices company.
Now, cardiac stent is a critical life-saving medical device. How do you ensure that quality does not affect affordability of this medical device?
Excellent question. So, quality and cost, or quality and price, are often seen as exclusive factors, right? When people talk about quality, they say, okay, it has to be more expensive. At SMT, we don't believe that. We don't think it's mutually exclusive. In fact, they can very well coexist. What matters is what's the culture, right? What is the culture and the attitude that the company has, the people inside it? And I'm a firm believer that if you have a quality culture, if it's in your DNA that we're never going to compromise on quality, that we're going to uphold the strictest of standards, once that is fixed, then there are still ways of making it more affordable, making it more accessible. And in fact, that is, going back to the founding of SMT, our motto is pledge to save millions, right? So we started with affordability. Right? And today, we've been able to time and again meet the toughest of quality standards, yet again continue to make it accessible, continue to make it more affordable for the masses.
Now we all know the government launched the Skill India mission to empower the youth. Do you think finding skilled workforce in your industry is a challenge?
The kind of sector we're in, as I mentioned, it's a very, very niche area. You're talking about one very, very specific technology and science. And while the talent that can be applied to this is increasing every day, I think we need more diversified talent still. We've seen this again when we are working in our R&D center in Ireland, or the next one that will be there in the US. A diverse talent pool in your R&D center, in your R&D operation, really brings out the next stage, the breakthrough solutions. And I believe in India we need that diversity.
And how are you encouraging that diversity in your company?
Great question. So at the moment, we have started over the last 3 years, we started partnering up with educational institutes. So one of the ones, we have a PhD kind of collaborative program with college SVNIT that's present in Surat. But even beyond SVNIT, we have a very strong program with, in fact, IITs. And what we're doing is working with them to communicate better our requirements from them, that when their students are graduating, when they are coming out, what is the kind of work environment and what are the kind of challenges, the scientific challenges that they'll have to be prepared with. And we're combining that with internship programs.
So finally, going forward, what is your vision for the company and where do you want to take it in the next 5 to 6 years?
So the long-term vision, the long-term, mid-term vision is to become a global leader as far as vascular devices goes. This is our strength. This is what we understand. We understand the anatomy of the vascular system and the problems that are happening with it, and how to treat them using devices, how to treat them using interventional devices. And this is the path we're on. I believe with the investments into the stents, into the DES, into our current generation DES, and all the work we've done here in India and the countries outside, now we have a strong platform to really launch SMT on. And the way we're going to do this now is by expanding both geographically and with the products that we have.
Right.
And each of them will be benchmarked against our flagship DES.
All right, we wish you all the best, Bhargav. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Inspirational Brands Make in India, but we'll be back next time with another story of business success. Until then, goodbye and thanks for watching.